Jenny, are you there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've been talking to a blue mic over here. At least Rumble can hear me. Um, okay, Rumble. There you guys are hearing my spew, but Telegram, you guys should know my spew already. But I'll just finish up for Rumble. And last but certainly not least, everybody, if you have a story or a journey to tell, please email me at troasubmissions@yahoo.com. I do vet through those and make sure it's a legitimate story. If I believe it's legit, I will reach out to you via email and we'll get your voice, your story heard on the show. Because remember, everybody, it's your story, your journey, and your voice that's going to help shape this new world that we're coming into. Oh my goodness. Hello, Telegram.
Hello,
I
hello.
literally, through my whole spew, until you said something, I was, let's see, that's about 5 minutes of talking to a blue mic. But everybody on Telegram should already know my spiel. But welcome, everybody. And Dallas, welcome back, my friend. I'm going to say it, how the hell you been?
I've been good, man. It's been crazy. It's been super busy. Figuring out life and working. I mean, it's been crazy. But I'm glad to be back. I miss you guys. I miss these little moments.
Well, I will tell you, you have been very missed, and I've just assured everybody that you haven't gone anywhere. You just, obviously have a family life, and then, of course, you have a new gig that you've got to do that's obviously priority. So we are streaming through Rumble live as well. So we have an audience over there live now, so we're doing that. So if you ever decide if you want to do like video or whatever, and I know a lot of times when you and I are doing our shows, you're picking up your daughter, so it might be a little more challenging, or you're in the car on the way to work. You can always do that as well. Yeah. So and then, but are we looking at kind of playing it still? Playing it by day, by week. How often you're going to be able to come on?
Um, I don't know. You and I probably need to get together and just figure out if there's maybe a better time. But then again, I mean, my kids are going to be out of school in another 6 weeks, so
Okay.
um, I mean, that's the real kicker is picking up my youngest daughter from school at 3:30. Um,
Okay.
but man, I don't know. We can talk. I mean, for right now, we'll probably just leave it where it is. But um, you know, you had spring break, and then I think I had an interview, and then something else happened, and it's just trying to get our schedules together was just really rough over the last like 4 to 6 weeks. But um, it's part of that's life. Part of it's been a little bit of a God thing for me, I think. Just
Are you still
not
working? Are you still working?
no, no.
Oh, okay.
The job that I had taken just wasn't, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, time wise. It was, late nights, every night, Saturdays, Sundays. I mean, it was pretty demanding, and it took me out of everything, to be honest with you. I mean, outside of, I still tried to keep my noon show, with Chaz, and then the morning show um, with Trina, because I was being forced to work nights. But they didn't. They made some promises. They didn't keep their word. I'm not a big fan of that. Um, and so I am actively, desperately looking again. But God's been good, man. I wrestled. This month has been crazy busy with my ministry. We've been doing a bunch of travel shows. We're doing another benefit show this Saturday for the Child Advocacy Center of Rockwall, which is an organization. They're all over the country, but it's an organization that helps battered and abused children. Um, so we're partnering up with them to raise money for them. But we did a school assembly last Thursday. The week before that, we were in San Antonio doing a huge youth rally that had like 600 kids in it. The school assembly we did had 600 screaming teenagers in it. we did a fundraiser for a Christian school in Wichita Falls. I mean, it's been kind of nutty. It's been very, very busy. My body's been absolutely wrecked. But I wrestled 10 matches in 10 days
Damn.
last week. So, I mean, it happened. I did 6 matches in 3 days, 1 week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I wrestled 4 more matches. So 10 matches in 10 days. It was kind of crazy.
I'm surprised you're up and walking okay.
I wasn't last
Oh,
week.
oh
But
my gosh. You're a brave
God's
soul
been good.
because you're a brave soul because we know you had a lot of injuries when it comes to your wrestling career back in the day. I'm surprised you're doing all that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, again, I didn't necessarily plan it this way, but God has been good, man. He's like, I actually feel better right now than I have in weeks and months. So maybe it's good for me to get beat up a little bit, but it's I stepped away from the ministry. I stepped away from church a little bit because of work, and it helped kind of refocus some things. It's exposed some things in my ministry that I run. We had a meeting last night for 2 hours, and more things got exposed where there's a gap when I'm not there. There's a gap in the leadership. There's a gap in the kind of the attitude and the atmosphere. And before that, not to sound like egotistical, but I didn't get credit for a lot of that in the past, kind of being that, ironically, that calming, kind of driving portion. And then when I was gone, it got exposed like, maybe there is a piece that he does. So it's been good. It's been a good learning curve. And, maybe,
Well, you know what?
maybe
Maybe God's
go
trying to
ahead.
tell you. Maybe God's trying to tell you something, Dallas. Like He's putting you in these places and things aren't working out for you, but you're back where you love and you're happier, right? With the ministry and with your wrestling thing. So I mean, maybe this
Yeah.
is a sign.
It is. I just need him to follow through with the money part because my wife is super stressed. But it's funny. I don't know how your feed works, on your different social platforms, but I get some of the most random stuff come through my feed that I'm just like, where did that come from? Like, how did that even get in there? But I heard one the other night, and I literally had said these exact words to my wife earlier that evening. Now, maybe my phone was listening to me. I don't know, but I was telling
Yeah,
my
it
wife.
is. It is.
I know, but it just was weird, right? Like, I told her that because we're stressed about money. My dog, unfortunately, if you guys want to pray for something, pray for my dog, that goofy dog.
Aww.
He is having 2 surgeries next Monday. He's having a growth or a cyst removed from his ear canal that has been causing chronic ear infections that then somehow turned into an infected cyst that ruptured and right below his ear. And so he's having multiple surgeries on Monday, but we've been battling that for over a month now. And it's cost us a ton of money. I mean, if you guys know, if you have animals, vets are not cheap. They fought with me about the vaccine, the rabies vaccine, and they finally kind of succumbed to that, and they just stopped bothering me about it. But he's having surgery on Monday, but that's $2,000 we do not have. But that's besides the point. If you want to pray for that. Pray for my wife and pray for my dog and my girls. But I told my wife the other day that I just felt like God was. It's not even a test, right? It's just, I said we need to have faith, and we just have to believe just a little bit longer, because God's about to do something. He's about to, and ultimately I said something's got to break one way or the other. And then that night I'm scrolling through, I think, Instagram, And this little reel comes up, and it's a woman who I don't know, and I've never seen her before. And she says, "You have been waiting for something, and it hasn't come, but it's about to. But there's one last thing that you need to solidify. There's one last lesson you need to learn. There's one last plan that you need to finalize before it breaks." And I literally sent it to myself, and I sent it to my wife. And then the next morning I said, "Remember what I said to you?" I said, did you watch that reel? So I really do believe that we're getting to the end of this, whatever this is, whatever you want to call it. I hate calling it a movie, but call it whatever you want. I think we're coming to the end. And I'm hoping that it's in the next few weeks we get some real definitive movement and action, if that makes any sense. I know that even the last time I was on, I was like, I'm looking to next week. Well, that was a month ago. But I do believe, because of what I'm being told, that things really are progressing. It is just, oh my gosh, there's so much corruption, and there's so many little snakes and little rats within the system still, that they have had to take every step literally in slow motion. But I do think governments are about to get paid. I do, again, not verified yet this week, right? I'm still waiting to hear, but I'm either optimistic, or I'm desperately optimistic. I don't know which one it is, but I believe something's going to break in the next few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, I have to, agree with you in the sense of everything is happening so fast, right? That we can't imagine that it's not happening fast in that world either. But I would rather them take their time to do it slowly. I get it. People are struggling, but for me, like many of you know, I've never been about the money thing. I have a day gig. If it happens, great. If not, I still got to go to work tomorrow. So, but at the end of the day, I'd rather them do it right and get it done right, because if they don't, then we're not going to have that, right? So
Yeah.
I just look at it like we are closer today than we were yesterday, the day before yesterday, a year ago. And yes, I do believe in the many people that I speak to, including Juan, we are nearing the end of this. But there's still more work to do, a lot more work on the other side of it. So, um, but what have you? I mean, for the listeners, what have you heard? I know a lot of people want to know, if the rates have changed on any of the monies, like the dinar, the dong, the zim.
Yeah.
What do you know? What have you heard?
Well, I listened to somebody the other night. I listened to a clip last night, and they claim that people got paid on Monday. That's not true.
Oh boy.
um, because the governments and the sovereigns have to get paid first, and they haven't been paid. And there's not anybody else on this planet that's getting paid before they do. Now, somebody might have gotten swindled, and tricked into selling some bonds or selling some currency, and they got some money, but they did not get what they're supposed to get. I'll put it that way. But rates, I think, golly, the governments have to get paid first. Governments and sovereigns, the elder families, because ultimately, when it's all said and done, the elder families are the ones that are funding all of this. We've been kind of, I don't want to say lied to, but we've been misled about the gold. All these countries are stocking up on gold so they can back up their currencies. That there's not enough gold in the world to back up the world's currency. You know what I mean? The money is coming from the elder families. They're the ones that have been pretty much bankrolling the world for the better part of 100 years anyway. But that's been part of the delay is getting people to actually promise to honor their commitments and honor the loans and honor the covering of the debt and the deposits and things like that. That's what is every week has pushed us a little further. But I think, rate wise, I no longer think it's going to be a shotgun start where all of a sudden money rolls and then boom, everybody's going, right? I think it's going to be much more delayed and slow rollout. And I think, if anything, the last month is a perfect example of that, right? That every week I get told, hey, it was supposed to have gone last week. There was a delay. There was a fraud. It got fixed. Now the goal is this week, right? And then you get to the end of this week, and and I'm very, very, very optimistic about the next 2 to 3 days between now and the 15th. Sunday, Easter Sunday was supposed to be a big day. I think it was, but I don't think it was as big as they were hoping, because they were hoping for actual liquidity. And to my knowledge, that didn't take place. But they're hoping that they got all those things figured out. They had to rewrite all the contracts as we went, into the new quarter, the new year in April. So that took some time. But I think the currency is going to roll out in stages. Instead of, all right, everybody go in, you have the first basket, and we're all going to redeem all of our currencies at the same time. I think it probably is going to go in stages. So maybe the dinar goes first, and then the dong, and then the rupee, and you know what I mean? Like I think it's, and the reason I think that is because, one, again, it's taken so long just to get the first batch of money moving and liquid. But I also have been told through multiple sources from multiple contacts that they are still, and when I say they, I mean the leaders of the world, right? And I'm not even talking good guys, bad guys anymore. I'm just talking about the people that are in charge of allowing this to roll out are deathly afraid of we, the people, having a lot of money. And that goes for the United States, along with most of the rest of the world. We've talked exclusively, or not exclusively, we've talked ad nauseum, or at least I have, about being smart with this money. But the reality is there's still a significant number of people that when they get a lump sum of money in their account, whether it's a dividend check or it's a tariff check or it's a Doge check or it's our fraudulent, payroll tax, there's still a significant number of people that are going to be really, really silly with this money. I'm not going to say stupid, but really silly with this money. And, and the powers that be are very afraid of that. And they're trying everything they can to limit the amount of liquidity that each of us have at these different stages. I don't particularly like that. I don't, that's not the system that I thought we were going into, but that seems to be more and more the consensus from what I'm hearing. But then it puts the onus on us, right? When we do get some of this money, we got to be smart with it, and we've got to, can't be frivolous. We can't go be buying big old cars and big old mansions, and we've got to take care of our family, take care of our own first, and then spread from there. Focus on our community, focus on our city, focus on our state, focus on our country, then focus on the world, so that we can prove to them, and again, who them is a little bit up in the air, but prove to them that we're going to be responsible with this money. But I'm still hearing decent rates. I mean, the one that I've always, well, not always, the one that I've heard the biggest difference on is the Zim. But again, until I can verify it, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just going to stick with the kind of the status quo until I can verify one way or the other. But, still hearing good things about the dinar. Boulevard, we talk about that all the time. Even if it goes at 10 or 20 cents per boulevard, again, most of us don't have one or two of those things, right? Because they were so cheap. But hearing positive things, I'm literally waiting for the money to liquefy, and then I think it will all flesh itself out pretty quickly. And then we just got to be, we got to be mindful, and we got to go to your thing. We got to go to the sources we trust. But it's going to be, when it rolls out, it's going to be pretty public, I think, as far as, if we are getting any kind of rebate checks from the government or Doge or tariffs or anything like that. But we also, I think we got to get this stuff squared away in the Middle East. And I think, last night I prayed that cooler heads would prevail, and they did. It kind of depends on who you're listening to today, but missiles are being launched today, but they're not being launched from Iran, and they're not being launched by us, in my opinion. So I think maybe that's more of a exposure thing of who the real agitators are in the Middle East. I'm not pro-Iran, but there's another country in the Middle East that I think is the number one agitator when it comes to that conflict. But again, I'm hearing positive things. It still doesn't always add up what I hear on the currency side and what I'm watching on the geopolitical side. They seem to be in opposition, but I also am coming to the conclusion that we are not being told the truth about any of this stuff going on in the Middle East. I watched a video today of two guys walking down the beach in Tel Aviv, and everybody's out enjoying the sun and chilling. There's no fires, there's no smoke, but yet I watched probably 30 videos last night of Tel Aviv getting destroyed.
So and this is
what's
what
real,
yeah, exactly. And this is why we all say things aren't as they seem, everybody. And John Solomon came out and he did say that they are, I mean, there's psyop after psyop after psyop, guys, that we are witnessing. So that's why you need to kick your discernment and high gear and pay attention to who you're following. Like I'm not shitting you. Like, you don't have to follow all these people anymore. That doesn't matter. Follow the right ones that are giving you the good information, that are consistent, that aren't catty, that aren't petty, that are just straight, and they don't falter, they don't flip flop, they don't do any of that kind of stuff, right? There's many of them out there that are like that you can follow and listen to, that are giving great information. But the other ones, I mean, you have to be careful, guys, because it's literally it's a psychological war, and it's a war for your mind. And I'm telling you, if you don't have a strong mind, you're gonna get bent, you're gonna get taken into it, and your mind's gonna get twisted. And be like, what the hell am I listening to? You're just gonna question everything. So yeah, I agree with you, Dallas, 100% on that. Things aren't always as they seem.
But like I said, I'm glad to be back. I really have missed you guys. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. We've missed you too. So I'm glad you're back. And yeah, we can if you need to change a day, the day to do a different day, we can always do that. I've let everybody know you haven't left the show. It's just you had a day gig that you were doing, and obviously family's first and foremost. So you know how I am. When it comes to family, that's priority. So no worries.
Yeah. No, awesome.
All right, everybody, we're going to go into some questions. I know you guys have been dying to have Dallas back. He is here, so please, I want to see some hands over here on Telegram and over on Rumble. I want to see some questions in that question box because I know you guys have been asking about him. You've been asking when he's coming back. He is here. No question is ever a dumb question, everybody, so please don't be afraid to ask a question. I highly encourage it. This is what we're here for. I take the time out of my day, as does Dallas, to come in and be here for you, to give you the best information that we have to give you. So please don't be nervous or scared. So over here on Telegram, Captain America, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Go ahead, Captain America. Your mic is unmuted. Okay, Patriot Foot. And real quickly, Andrea, I saw that you came up. You had I unmuted your mic. I don't know where you went, but if you're still in here, come back up and I will unmute your mic. And that's for Andrea. Go ahead, Captain America, or go ahead, Patriot Foot.
Well, hello there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Super. Good to hear you, Dallas. I just had a question on the Clarity Act. When, obviously, nobody knows when it'll get passed, but what are your
What are my thoughts on the Clarity Act?
what are your thoughts on it getting passed, as far as what you think potentially?
there are some weird things in it, just like there's some weird things in the big beautiful bill. Um, my understanding is that it's very much tied to the digitization of our debt. I want people to be very cautious of that. If they come out with a government stable coin, I would personally stay away from that, because that's going to be the digitized debt. That's one of the ways that they're looking, or the main way they're pushing to get the debt off our books as a country. So basically, it's like a new version of treasury bonds or wartime bonds. But I think that's part of the conflict. Is it is going to digitize our entire system, and they're trying to lump in the stock exchange at the same time. And the people that I've talked to think that would be a terrible idea to digitize the stock exchange. It needs to stay a free market. It needs to be corrected, obviously, because right now it's heavily manipulated. But I think that's part of the hangup, is the digitization. And there are those that are still fighting to keep us from digital IDs and locking down all of our money at some point in the future. When does it get passed? I would assume fairly quickly, once things start rolling forward, because that is part of the United States hangup, is our debt, because we do not currently possess the liquidity to cover it. One of the things that's frustrated me over the last month or so is all of the fraud that has been discovered all over this country, starting in Minnesota, but all of this country. I mean, we're talking about tens of trillions of dollars of fraud, which is basically our debt, right? So I don't particularly think we need to digitize our debt. I think we just need to eliminate the corruption and the fraud, and then our debt would almost take care of itself. But we just got to keep our eye on it, and just be really mindful of, the everything is going digital, but we just got to be mindful that we don't get stuck into some kind of utopian, 1984 type currency, type financial system. And I think that's part of the delay. Is there's some goofy things in it. I know, for one, Elizabeth Warren has been trying to slide digital ID into every bill that's going through our government. She's not the only one, right? So they're trying to eliminate those pigskins or pig ears or whatever they call them, kind of the fluff in these bills. But we just got to keep an eye on it.
Did that answer your question, Patriot Foot? All right, she must have got booted out. Okay, Vicky Sharp, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Yes, it did. I'm sorry. I couldn't get to it quick
Thank you.
enough.
Oh, you're good. No worries. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Go ahead, Vicky. Go ahead, Vicky Sharp. Your mic is unmuted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. President Trump showed the other night that he was signing the new currency. And so don't you think that we're going to be getting some new money? And doesn't that show that we'll be getting a new monetary system, and it won't be digital, I don't think.
Yes, it was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago. The new asset-backed USN was supposed to be announced and released 2 weeks ago. It did not happen then. It did not happen last week. But that is part of the hang-up, right? Is the whole thing can't move forward until the United States formally transfers to an asset-backed currency and a new USN. A big part of it is going to be digital, but we will still have physical money. But that's part of the delay, to be honest with you. And I'm not blaming it on Trump, but the whole world is waiting on the United States to step up and take the financial leadership role that it has, if that makes sense.
Well, this Colonel Lennox, I think it's Colonel Lennox that I've listened to quite a bit. He thinks it'll be June before they come out with the new money. I don't know if that's, I mean, I don't know if he knows, but so we may still be waiting a while. But also, 107, he's talked so much about all this fraud with the school bonds and the bond market. Connected to all these property tax increases, and that there's so much fraud in every state in that area that it's going to take a lot to get that cleaned up. I don't know, because they keep raising our property taxes here in Oklahoma. I mean, they're not as high here as they are some places, but I'm on a fixed income, a senior widow, and it's getting to where you can't hardly pay your taxes on your property, keep your house.
I mean, I stumbled upon that about a year ago, that the school boards absolutely 100% control our property taxes.
Yes.
And they do that through these fraudulent bonds, and they double dip on the bonds, and they're stealing money. And I mean, it's a huge scam and scheme. The reality is property taxes are illegal. They're unconstitutional, just like income tax is unconstitutional. And will it take some time to get all that fleshed out? Yes. I mean, I believe that to be true, but at the same time, at some point they've got to drop the hammer, right? And they've got to make it incredibly uncomfortable for all these people that have been bankrolling themselves and their homes, their lifestyles, and their influence within the community through these school bonds, and the daycare scams, and the Medicaid scams, and Medicare scams, the homeless scams. But it's the best news is we're all aware of it now, right? I mean, literally until a year ago, I didn't understand the part about the school boards.
No, I didn't either. Never heard of it.
It's everybody's becoming more aware, and it makes it harder for them. And you're seeing people stand up. And right now in Frisco, which is one of the more affluent towns in the Dallas Metroplex, every city council meeting and every school board meeting, they are getting dragged through the coals because people are starting to wake up. In Texas, we have a huge Sharia law, conflict, right? Or problem.
That's another issue.
They're huge cities, but that already exist, right? And we were kind of led to believe that they were trying to get permission to build them. No, they're already built. There's huge, Sharia communities in Oklahoma, even, and Oklahoma is almost purely red, right? I mean, in the last election, every county was red, but somehow they're still passing these laws that allow, burqas and Qurans to be passed out in the public schools. I can't go into my daughter's school right now and start passing out Bibles, but for some reason, all over Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana and Mississippi, they're going in and passing out Qurans and hijabs. So people are starting to wake up, and they're starting to hold people accountable. So we've got to have a whole reset from top to bottom. That's going to take time, but at the same time, people are absolutely waking up to it at a record number. So.
Thank you, Dallas. All right, Holly from the Hills, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Hello. Hi, Jen. Hi, Dallas. Thank you for everything you do. I have a question. I have several I want to ask, but I won't.
Can you go to Sonic for me completing my store test?
No, not today.
I know.
Not today.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so here's the situation. I just heard about this morning, and I used to be on city council. I ran for mayor. I've been in there. I've been in a good fight. Worked for the state, put out a psychiatric hospital that was all fake and charging Medicaid fraud like $250,000 a month. And Anyway, I see things, I know things, okay? But
Yep.
this is like beyond ridiculous. Okay, so there's a city here in my town, or in my county, let's say. The county officials are fighting it. The city officials are fighting it. But the state is coming in. They want to turn a 4-lane highway into a 2-lane. Go backwards. We're going backwards. And the state wants to do it. And I just want to know who is running this freaking country. Basically, why? How can that be? Well, that is so idiotic. Why? It's like they should widen the lanes, make another one, But no, they want to turn it into a single lane. Now, this is the Dixie Highway, which I don't know if anybody knows. It travels all through down to Florida. I'm in the state of Kentucky. I mean, what the hell? Now, how do you fight something like that? Everybody says, oh, yeah, it takes time. You got to do all this. But when people are actually standing up, trying to fight it, and then the state comes in and says, no, you're going to have to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and do this. And do you realize what the traffic and the shit show that this is going to be?
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah.
Can somebody
those are the
help
same.
me?
Yeah. I wish I had a really good answer. I mean, those are the questions that I've been asking for the last 6 or 7 months that have gotten me so much heat on PBN specifically. Is there's still so much corruption at every level. It's kind of what I was just talking about, that it's one, they have to start holding people accountable. And, the fact that Pam Bondi is out, I think that's one, I think that should have happened 6 months ago, but our government at the highest level have to start holding these people accountable. The Epstein files, the corruption in Minnesota, the corruption in every state, because that is where our money is going. That's where our debt is coming from as a nation. And it could be solved internally, but at some point, I don't actually mean people dying, but at some point heads have to start rolling. And I think it has to start at the top. I don't think it does any good to start at the bottom and work their way up, because the people at the bottom are doing the smallest amount of fraud, right? The real fraud is happening at the highest levels of our federal and state governments. And we need to start seeing people arrested. We need to start seeing them charged. I read an article, Kash Patel and the FBI are finally going to start arresting people connected to voter fraud, from 2020 and 2024. That needs to happen. And those people need to be held accountable. Tim Walz needs to be impeached and thrown in jail, because the corruption that's happening in Minnesota does not happen without his knowledge and his consent, one way or the other. And then every step down the ladder to, assistant governor, to the state AG, to the state comptroller, to the inspectors that are obviously fraudulently doing these inspections of these daycares that have no kids, that are charging the state millions of dollars. I have friends and clients that have run daycares for years, and there's somebody in their daycare center almost weekly, doing some kind of inspection, or, hey, this toy has got a chip in the paint. You got to get rid of it, and you got to replace all the toys. So the fraud is from the top down. And in my personal opinion, that needs to be how it gets handled, right? I mean, the people at the top need to be arrested and held accountable first, and then everybody down the chain. The problem with that, right? And Pam Bondi said this. Pam Bondi said this, that if they release the Epstein files, our whole economic system would crash in the world, which is more than likely true, right? But to me, that's not an excuse not to do it. That just means that you and I and the average Joe Schmo, we got to step up, just like you have been doing, but we got to step up and we got to fill those spots and we got to do them correctly. And I think personally, I think the powers that be are just afraid that people won't step up, is what I think is honestly true. But at the same time, you know, it's the old Band-Aid analogy. At some point, you just got to rip it off, right? It's going to hurt one way or the other. It's much better to just rip it off, get the pain out of the way, and then work on healing. And I hope and I pray that that's where we're leaning into that. But I'm with you and I hear you. It is, you know, I talked about Texas, I talked about Oklahoma. There is so much fraud and corruption in my state, and my state's supposed to be, you know, the state of states, you know. So I wish I had an answer. I would just say continue to fight at the local level and make it, you know, almost tell the state to, you know, go screw themselves, right? I mean, it's not good for the community, it's not good for the town, it's not good for the state to make that highway so small. All it's going to do is cause, you know, smog and pollution, and which then begs the question, what is their rationale? Right? Ultimately, you know, I think there's two, well, I don't think, I know for a fact there's two entities fighting for control of our country and our world. They're the good guys and the bad guys. And the bad guys want 15-minute cities. They want nobody to own a car. They want nobody to travel. That's why they're making air travel so scary and so expensive. And we just got to continue to fight back and not succumb to that. But it's kind of the same battle cry we've had for a couple of years now.
Well, and when you said that 15-minute city, see, that's where I went with this, that they're trying to make everything so horrible to even leave your house to go anywhere, that they're trying to build these 15-minute cities, because they're building everywhere around here, and they are getting ready to put one up. And that's where they're trying to push people into but in saying that, why now? I thought we were turning the corner of things getting done,
So,
getting
real
after
quickly,
the
Holly.
justice.
No, hang on, real quickly, Holly.
Should I shut up?
No, I'm just gonna stop you right there, because there, you know, we haven't hit the precipice yet, and if you listen to
Okay.
107, we are in the storm. We are going to feel we're in the birthing pain. So if you're seeing 15-minute cities, because I'm hearing your frustrations, you know, saying nothing's happening, all this stuff. So much is happening. That's why I say stay out of all the negative. I get it. There's a lot that's being shown to us, everybody. Like Dallas says, we're not being shown the truth about what's happening over in the Middle East. And, you know, we are going to feel, you think what we're seeing with 15-minute cities is a precipice moment? No, wait until you, like Juan says, he talks about these school bonds and what's going to happen with our financial world, with these banks and stuff. When you can't go get your money, you can't get food, you can't get gas. This is all the stuff that we've been being prepared for. So it's not to scare anybody, but we know and have been expecting something like this to come. You know, people talk about the digital IDs and all this stuff. It's not going to happen. You hear Captain Kyle talk about it all the time. You know, Trump basically telling Vanguard and BlackRock that, you know, they can't buy any, you know, more, you know, they're buying up all these real estate properties, saying you'll own nothing and be happy. No, all these things that they bought and they're just putting them up for lease, for people to rent. You're going to see them on the market. So the basic a homeowner can go afford a house. So we're not going to see all these crazy prices. So I get your frustration, but if you think this is this is the end of what we're going to see, we're going to see some bumpiness, guys, and you got to get prepared for it. You got to get your mind right with that, because if you're mad now about 15-minute cities, we're going to see more things. But you guys, it is all being turned around. We have to feel that that short-term pinch, right, for that long-term gain. And we are going to see that long-term gain, but we have to go through this stuff to see, like Dallas says, like he's even talking about how deep and entangled this fraud is, even when it comes, to what he's seeing in the RV world, all the little rats and the snakes and how it's been taken so long. I don't think people realize how deep and twisted and ratty this swamp is. Not even us, for as much as we do the research, right? So I just say, hang on tight, but listen to the right people, and don't get too. I get it. I get the frustration. I absolutely do, and I feel for everybody in that. But we have to hang on tight, everybody. We have to stay focused, because this isn't the end of it. We're gonna still see some more bumpy times, and it's gonna be a little bit more chaotic. But we knew this was coming, so I didn't mean to shut you off there, Holly. But it's a lot of doom and gloom. But I want to try to switch it around to there are things happening. There's a shit ton of things happening that are for the positive. So I just want to try to redirect everybody on all the positive things that are happening, because I'm telling you what, there's more positive than there is negative happening. So just hang tight. If you got to re-listen to 107, we had not Dallas, we had Warren on here last week, giving a lot of great information of what potentially you look for, but also to the great things that are happening in the world. So we have to come to this precipice, everybody, and we haven't quite hit it 100% yet. Go ahead, Holly, if you want to add to that.
No, thank you. I didn't mean to get into doom and gloom. I am having a moment here today. I think
listen,
it's
that's
the human
okay.
residence.
It's okay. You listen, it's expected in the chaos that we're living in. And that's why we do the things that we do here, and take the time with you guys, because your thoughts, your feelings and concerns are legit. But at the end of the day, we got to still stay focused, because if we lose focus and we lose that strength that we've been pushing through this whole entire time, then guess what? Then here comes the chaos, and that's not what they want. They're trying to alleviate that as much as possible. And if you listen to 107, you hear a lot of people talking about these sleeper cells. The fear porn on that. Well, they've always been here, everybody. But a lot of people are pushing them out. Oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Well, 107 came out and said it on one of his podcasts, I think, with Nino, that they know that they're here, but they think they've gotten in front of a lot of it. So whereas before we're hearing all this craziness to happen, right, in the streets or door to door or whatever the hell it was. So, but he came out to say some positive things in that regard, that they're getting ahead of it. So that's a good thing. So focus on the positive, everybody, because we can't get too far in the weeds, because then guess what? We've lost. Go ahead, Dallas. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you,
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just try to stay as positive as we can. But I also applaud you, Holly, for asking these questions, because I think that's a huge mistake that we as this movement, the truther movement or the awakened movement made about 2 years ago, is we just stopped asking questions, and we just kind of went with fairy tale land of some of the goofiness that we were told. But we have to continue to hold our government, this current administration, accountable, and hold their feet to the fire, just like you have to in your state and your city and your county level, that where you are in Kentucky. We've got to continue to hold them accountable and ask the hard questions. And there's a lot of things that I've disagreed with in the last 6 or 8 months from this administration. And, I just want truth, honesty, and accountability. That's all I want. And, I no longer say trust the plan, because I don't know if anybody, I think the plan has changed a few times, but I think we have to stay true to ourselves, right? And myself is, God first, family second, country third, right? And we just got to continue to stand firm and ask questions and hold people accountable, because that's how we got here. Is we totally took our hands off of everything for about 40 years. And in that 40 years, that's where all this corruption and fraud and embezzlement and just just horrible things have taken place when we took our hands off the government. So.
And remember, a lot of the government that we still see are still placed from the Biden administration, right? So yeah, I agree 100%. Always you question everything. We say that all the time. I say it all the time. But at the end of the day, we gotta also to know that we are in an operation. And once people understand what that operation means, you'll understand why it had to be this way, why Trump has to be neutral. You know, he can't talk about certain if people in an investigation. You know, like people like I don't know, RICO cases or whatever. You can't talk about things like that, right? So just hang in there, everybody. I know it's frustrating. Trust me, I get it. I am right there with you. Okay, so here's a question from Rumble for you, Dallas. It's from Hunter Guy. Dallas, I have heard the RV will take place when our money moves into asset backed, gold, silver, oil, etc. Have you heard anything about this?
Yeah, it was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago. It was supposed to happen last week. It is getting down to the wire to where the world courts and the other countries that are a part of this GCR, which is the bigger thing, right? The global currency reset. They are, and I say this a little bit of trepidation. In the last 3 months, there's been a whole lot of very questionable things taking place within the United States government. And I'm not necessarily saying Trump, but like they have been trying to manipulate and monopolize the GCR, the global currency reset, and the world courts and the other countries that have agreed to this have they finally put their foot down and said, no, either it's going to be a level playing field for everybody or you're not going to be a part of it. And that was a legitimate threat made about a month ago to absolutely block the United States from being part of the GCR and this RV and the reset currency, the revalue of the currencies. And to my knowledge, cooler heads prevailed, and things were supposed to have done 2 weeks ago. There was some kind of hiccup. It got pushed back, and then we hit the end of the month. They had to rewrite all the contracts. So last week was kind of a push. Primarily because of the rewriting of the contracts. So I'm hopeful that this week or next, by the 15th, really, which is next Wednesday, that we see some kind of announcement and we see some kind of transition in our country with our currency. Because when that happens, then I think that is a telltale sign that liquidity has taken place at the highest levels in this process, and that will be a very positive sign for us. I do not think it's going to be overnight, right? It's I hate to be the guy, but today's Wednesday. We are not getting notifications tomorrow or Friday or Saturday or Sunday or even next Monday. Like that, it cannot happen that fast. It's got to go down the chain, and it's got to get, with liquidity has to make its way down the waterfall before water gets to the bottom. But asset backed for the United States, I think that's a telltale sign that liquidity is taking place at the highest levels. And then it's just a matter of time. And I realize I, for one, am the guy speaking with zero time when it comes financially. But we just got to continue to push. We got to make it one more week, and maybe one more week after that, and maybe one more week after that. But stick together as a community. Help those that you can. And if you are in such a place to help others around you, then do that. But I am optimistically looking for that USN to be announced sooner than later.
Here's a comment from the same gentleman, Hunter Guy. Time to have signed affidavits to review surety bonds, insurance held by our school boards and city officials. Very true. Flower Patriots, Dallas, if you want to answer this, you can. I know it's not really kind of your wheelhouse, but they're asking XRP, XLM update 6 months to a year out, please.
Again, that's not my specialty, but I know the Ripple is rapidly progressing. To my knowledge, they've been given the approval to kind of function as a bank or an internal financial institution. which is a big piece of this thing, from my understanding. But until the switch gets flipped, I don't think we see really anything across the board. I don't think gold and silver, they've suppressed it again, right? I mean, silver's at 74 today, and gold has been under 5,000 for 2 weeks, when it was well over 5,000, and going the right direction. They are suppressing the entire global economy right now. The Straits of Hormuz, like, people don't understand, 80% of the global GDP goes through the Straits of Hormuz. Not so much in the United States. Like, we don't get a ton from there, but the rest of the world, 80% of their supplies and goods and power and energy come through that strait. That thing has been shut off for a month, right? There are two different ways to think about that. One, this could be the mechanism that is used to collapse the global economy and to usher in the reboot, right? The problem is which reboot are we getting? Are we getting the Great Reset, a la George Bush Sr. and the New World Order? Or are we getting the reset, which is what we want, right? Which is asset-backed currencies across the globe, parity in value. So, a ruble is equivalent to a dollar, is equivalent to a peso. And that's, honestly, that's the battle that's taking place right now. Is a reset is coming. It is absolutely 100% in motion and being flushed out. The question is, which one do we get? And I'm just continuously praying that we get the positive one. But I think I think what's been going on the last month in the Middle East, it is literally wrecking the global economy. I mean, countries are almost out of oil, almost out of fuel across the globe. So that's why I say something has to break. Something has to break free in the next several weeks. 1 to 2 weeks in my mind. Could have pushed 3, maybe, but Australia is basically out of fuel. Japan is out of fuel. There's so many countries that are like right on the brink of running out of fuel. Well, if they run out of fuel, then everything stops, right? Because if you can't transport food, well, then there's no food in grocery stores, and none of us grow our own food anymore. Very few of us, right? So that's why I say I believe something is about to break, and we just got to continue to pray that it's the positive break and not the negative one, because they're still fighting, even though they've been diminished and they've been pretty much destroyed. I'm going to use an analogy, right? It's kind of like President Trump saying that we destroyed all of Iran's military capabilities, except they have launched more missiles, theoretically. Again, who knows, right? So supposedly they're launching more and more missiles every day, but we destroyed all their military stuff 3 weeks ago. Well, that one of those two things can be true, right? So something is about to break, and I'm leaning into my faith, and I'm leaning into the positivity of the Great Reset, or not the Great Reset, the GCR, the Global Currency Reset.
You're gonna get everybody freaked out here.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, everybody. If you guys have questions here on Telegram, feel free to raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. Over on Rumble, if you guys have questions, write it in the comment box. I had a question for you. I can't even remember what it was. Do you want to? We kind of really. You touched a little bit on the rates. This is weird. Everybody wanted you to be back, and nobody has questions right now. That's bizarre. Hang on a second. I'm looking here. All right. So for you, what do you think? I mean, obviously, I agree with you. Something has to break, right? But I mean, I don't know. I don't like doing dates, so I can't even really ask you that. But what do you foresee happening with this whole thing with the Straits of Hormuz? With Hormuz?
Yes, sorry, I say it wrong every time. I'm pretty sure I'm not saying that right, but I can't get it to come out.
I said vermouth.
Yeah, any other way. It's kind of what I just said. I think we're within a few weeks of, if it doesn't open, right? The global economy is within a few weeks of kind of a unprecedented collapse, and I think every economist on the planet would agree to that. So it's kind of like last night. I prayed that cooler heads would prevail. It seemed like they did. Somebody's shooting missiles off today, but I believe I know who it is. But I'll let you make that calculation. But I think cooler heads are starting to prevail. So I am literally, the 15th was a big date put to me, next Wednesday. We're not going to have a reset by then, but hopefully we have liquidity by then, which means positive things coming. But I'm hoping that they get this stuff worked out in the next week or two.
So I had a question come in to me. They're new to the podcast and have heard you, Troy, and other people speak, Rob Cunningham, and just other people talk about the financial world. And of course, everybody remember, we're not financial advisors or anything like that. So we're not here giving you advice. We're just giving you our opinion of what to do. So they're concerned about the crash, if there is one that happens, what they should do with all of their money that they have built up, their entire career. Of course, I always say, gold and silver, precious metals are always a safe bet, right?
Yeah.
In your opinion, what would you give somebody like that? What would you say?
Well, now is the worst time to be asking this question, right? Because the economy dropped. Well, and I'll explain why, right? The economy has dropped. The stock market has dropped from over 50,000 points to 46, I think, is what it was the last time I looked at it. Give me a second. Yeah, the Dow Jones. Oh, it went up a little bit. Dow Jones is at 47.9. So today was a pretty good day, but it's been down in the 46,000 market for the last 2 weeks, which means in the last month, so in the last month, we're kind of at a peak. So maybe this is the best time to ask this question. If you're going to do something with your 401ks, which is what I'm assuming people are referring to when they talk about saving money their whole lives, 401ks or IRAs, if you have a cash option, you can put it in cash. That protects the principal. The problem is that if the market goes back up to 50, well, then you just lost 2 or 3% gain, right? If the market crashes to 45, well, then you just saved 5%, right? But if you don't have an option for gold and silver, which typical 401ks don't, if you're going to do that, you got to go through a gold broker. Andy Shakeman was on Mark Z. He has his gold company where you can transfer your 401ks into gold and silver. I'm not promoting this particular podcaster, but goldquiz.com, you have several options. There's 4 or 5 companies that are connected to that. But if that's not an option and you have a cash option, which everybody does, you could protect your principal. The problem is you lose any up or down swings, right? We don't want down swings, but when the market was down at 46,000, that's a bad time to move your money because now you're locking in that loss. And unless you put it back in the market before it goes back up, you're never going to gain it, right? So the reality is, and again, this is not directed financial advice. This is generalized financial advice. If you are planning to take your money out of your 401k in the next 6 months to 2 years, I would probably put it in cash. If you're not looking to take money out of your 401k for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, then just leave it exactly where it is and just let the market ride the wave up and down, because it's about time horizons and it's about duration, right? But if you are taking money out of your 401k currently right now, or you plan to in the next six months, then I would talk to your 401k director or your HR director and look at a cash option. The best option in this particular case is if you have a guaranteed dividend bond option within your 401k. That's technically the best place, because that way you get at least some guaranteed gain. Before I liquidated my 401k totally, I transitioned mine into a guaranteed dividend bond option. So every quarter My 401k went up by 5% because that was the guaranteed stated dividend. Now, if the market went up by 6%, well, then I lost 1%, right? But I was guaranteed 5. But if the market went down 3%, well, guess what? I still got 5 because I was in a guaranteed dividend bond option within my 401k. You just have to call your administrator of your 401k. Typically, you go through your HR director and they can get you in contact with the right person. But you just have to ask about those options. But what I wouldn't do is when the market crashes, put it in cash because now you just locked in the loss and you're never going to get it back. If you just leave it alone, if you have a long enough time horizon, I've talked about 2008, 2009. 2008, 2009 was one of the largest, well, it wasn't one of, it was the largest single asset crash in U.S. stock market history. And what I mean by that, there are 8 asset classes in the market. And I'll try to name them. I haven't done this a long time, but there's U.S. large cap, there's U.S. mid cap, there's U.S. small cap, there's international emerging, international developing, there is REITs, which is real estate, there's cash, and there's commodities. Those are the 8 asset classes. In 2008, one asset class crashed, and it wasn't real estate. That's where everybody is misled. The real estate bubble, when it ruptured, it caused U.S. large cap companies who were buying these fraudulent, excuse me, AAA rated bonds to lose billions of dollars. So we lost money in the stock market, but the only asset class that technically lost money was U.S. large cap. It was the biggest country or biggest companies in the United States buying these bad debts or these bad bonds, trying to make the gain because they were making money hand over fist. What people didn't realize is that it took 5 years, but 5 years later, not only had you, if you left everything alone, right? If you didn't change anything in your 401k, it took 4 years for us to get back to break even. So to make back all the money we lost. And then in the 5th year in US large cap, there was 135% gain in one asset class. The same asset class that crashed the market in 2008 had the largest run up in US stock market history. So it had the largest fall, but it also had the largest run up. It just took 5 years for it to happen. And if people just left their 401ks alone, at the end of that 5th year, they had more money in there than they ever had before because they gained it all back and then had 135% gain in that one asset class. Now, it doesn't mean your whole 401k went up because most people are, 25% US large cap, 20% mid cap, 15%, whatever. But if you left it alone, you made your money back and you actually gained some. That's the same thing that's going to happen in this crash. But if you have the wherewithal and the ability and you have the time horizon, if you have a time horizon of a long time, leave it alone. Just leave it where it is. You can make it more conservative if you want, but I would leave it alone. If you're going to plan on taking money out in the next 6 months to a year, I would look at switching it to either cash or a guaranteed dividend bond option. But again, you got to talk to your, whoever's directing your 401k. 90% or 80% of 401ks in the United States are managed by Fidelity. So you're probably gonna be talking to somebody at Fidelity, but go through your HR department and they'll put you in contact with the right people.
Thank you, Dallas. All right, let's see. I don't have any more questions. So if you guys don't have any questions, then, I guess we'll let Dallas go be with his kiddos because his kiddos are home. You just picked up your daughter, right?
Yeah, I picked up my youngest. My older daughter gets home any minute.
Oh, okay, hand just came up. So Colorado Mama, I'm going to unmute your mic. Go ahead. Go ahead, Colorado Mama. Go ahead. Go ahead, Colorado Mama. Your mic is unmuted.
Hey, Dallas.
Hello.
I just wanted to dovetail a little bit. If you can talk about the fact that if they do take cash out, it's not like we're taking the physical cash, but you can actually, with Andy Scheckman's program, you can actually get the silver and actually keep it in storage, or you can actually take delivery. I'm not sure exactly if they allow that when it's being rolled over from a 401k, however. But
typically they keep it in an IRA, but they just transition it from stocks and bonds into gold and silver.
but it is asset backed. It's asset backed. They've got
Well,
the, yeah.
yeah, you were, sometimes there are limitations depending on if you're still working. You can only move so much of it. If you're retired, you can move the whole thing, but you put it into a directed IRA with Andy Shakeman or another gold and silver company, but you just transition from the stock market to gold and silver. If you transition to cash within your 401k, to your point, they're not sending you a bunch of cash, right? You're just moving. Let's say you have $100,000 in your 401k, and it's invested in all kinds of different stocks and bonds and mutual funds. If you transition into cash, you're just taking a cash position, but it's still in the 401k. Like you still don't have access to it, and you have to go through the withdrawal mechanisms and pay taxes and pay penalties and things like that. But you can shift it from being actively invested in the stock market into a cash subsection. So that's a good point. Thank you.
Thank you, Colorado Mama. Oh, all of a sudden, all these hands pop up. Okay. Let's see. Jay, sir, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jay, sir. All right. Trump train. Go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Trump train.
Hey.
Can anybody hear me?
I can.
Or they're requesting mics and not speaking. Okay, Michelle.
Hello.
Go ahead,
there
Trump
it is.
train.
Well, Dallas, I thought it was going to happen on my birthday today, but I guess I was wrong.
Well, maybe your birthday month, maybe.
Anyway, brother, I'll be out of work all the way probably to the end of June with this AFib that I had.
Yeah.
But I do have, I guess, a backup plan, and I guess, thank God, I paid my rent forward for like 3 or 4 months. But I guess I'll be next selling my truck if I'll be out of work that long with this heart condition. But did you? I don't know if you've seen Hegseth was over there with Viktor Orban over in Budapest, Hungary. And if you had any update on the Pango, because I believe the Pango's there.
Yeah. I don't have updates on values. I know that I just went through a process of like itemizing all of my currencies and stuff, and for some reason I have 2 Pangos that I was able to put on the list. But I'll definitely keep my ears open, and when I hear something, you'll be the first person I call, buddy.
All right, brother. And yeah, you and Trina both got Pangoed.
I had to figure out what it was. I was like, what did he say this was? But I had to look it up so I could put it on the sheet.
Trump train. Thank you, Dallas.
Thank you, Jenny.
I'll be praying for you, buddy.
Thank you, Trump train. Happy birthday and feel better, my friend. Go ahead, Tennessee Trash. Or no, excuse me. Go ahead, Michelle Grizzly. You're first. Go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle Grizzly. Your mic is unmuted.
Okay. Just Dallas, can you just try and help simplify this gong show? So for the people that understand this RV, like with the T4B bunch, right? Not the people under tier 5 and all this stuff with this, currency thingamajiggy. And then with all the chit chat with the whole rest of everything gonna go crazy where people ain't gonna know where the money is and all that kind of stuff, and they're freaked out. Like how I sort of get it, and I'll tell you how I get it, and you tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong. That it's going the way it's going, and then a tier 4B bunch, like after you get your notification, you have some extra money. That extra money will be able to help not only yourself, but other people that have no clue what's going on. Well, they're telling everybody because they're going to need like a couple months to organize how to get everything sorted out with this Hormuz Strait and the whole money thing, because it's never been done. Um, like to stabilize everything, because like Warren's saying, like, don't go buy big purchasers or whatever, like just sit still, do whatever you can do, but make sure that you have enough food and money to organize stuff while you go through like the transition from one money thing to another thing. Is that kind of correct, or am I way off?
No, yeah. I mean, if you've been listening to me on this podcast, if you go back, I don't know how many years we've been doing this now, Jenny, but one of the very first talks I had was like, I don't plan on doing anything major financially for like 90 days, right? And when the first conversations were about humanitarian projects and planning and organization and stuff like that, and one of the first things I said was, and this is before I knew way more than I know now, right? I mean, this is just me using my very logical, pragmatic brain. In the first 30 days, if you're going to spend money on something you need, right? If your house has a hole in the roof and every time it rains, you got to put trash bags and trash cans to catch the water, well, then either fix your roof or buy a new house, right? In the first 30 days. If you don't have reliable transportation, like every day you get in your car and you got to say 3 Hail Marys and 4 Our Fathers to hope it starts, well, then go buy a new car, but go buy a practical car. Don't go buy a $150,000 Denali, SUV 8-seater when you got 2 people, right? Don't go buy a Lamborghini. Don't go buy a Corvette. Go buy a Honda Civic. Something that's gonna be dependable. It's gonna be able to drive forever on a tank of gas, and just buy something practical. Like that's the first 30 days. It's what do you need? What are your needs and priorities? Do you need to go to the doctor, right? Do you need to get a surgery done that you haven't been able to do because you don't have insurance, you can't afford it? If you got medical issues, if you have housing issues, if you have transportation issues, if you have dietary issues, if you spend money, that's what you spend money on the first 30 days. But don't go crazy. And if you buy a new house, don't go from a $50,000 home or a $35,000 single wide to a $500,000 mega mansion in the richest part of town, right? Like, don't do that. Just go get a nice 100,000, 150, 200, go buy a nice house where you can be comfortable, you can be secure. But like, that's what I mean about being smart with this money. That's the first 30 days. The second 30 days, which is your 60 days, now you can start looking around and saying, okay, I'm good. My family's good. We have supplies. We have gas. We have batteries. We have food. Man, what about Mrs. Jones, 2 houses down, who I know is in her 80s and, is still trying to mow her own grass? Like, how can I help her, right? And then help those people around you. And then start thinking, if you have humanitarian plans, now start thinking, okay, now I have some money. If I wanted to make a difference in this particular sector, well, whatever that is, start putting that plan together and start kind of formulating, okay, well, who do I need to partner with and who do I need to surround myself with? And then the 90th day, which is 3 months after you get your money, now you can start making some bigger moves, right? And you can start spending some money to execute your humanitarian plan or something. But I said it over a year ago that I don't plan on making any major purchases or any major cash exchanges or, investments for probably 60 to 90 days, because one, I want everything to have time to slow down and to work itself out. When we go to the new asset-backed currency, the new USN, it's going to take a minimum of 6 months for that to get circulated into the country, right? A minimum of 6 months. It's probably going to take a year to 2 to get all the old money off the shelf and into, out of circulation, and get the new money in and circulating, right, to where everybody recognizes it, everybody knows what it is. So yes, you're spot on. I mean, my advice is, however the RV process goes down, and I will do my best to, once I can verify exactly how it's happening and where it's happening and what you got to do, and you know, pitfalls and all. I mean, I'm gonna share everything that I can, and I've been very open with that, and I've been very open with the groups that I'm a part of. Like, I feel a moral obligation to do that because of the position that I didn't mean to put myself in, but the position that God put me in. But is the RV going to go the way we think? I have no idea because I haven't been through it, right? But once I know how it's going to work and how it's going to process and function, I'm going to share what I can. But when we get this money, I told you the government is terrified. They are terrified. They think we're going to do what every lottery winner has done for the last 50 years, and they think we're going to go buy drugs and mansions and Ferraris and prostitutes, and we're going to blow it and either get ourselves killed, overdose on drugs, or end up in more debt than we ever dreamed of. That's what the government thinks we're all going to do with this money. I, for one, am not going to do that. And I hope anybody that can hear my voice and has ever heard my voice has put together at least a basic plan to not do that, right? People are going to come out of the woodwork, right? When all of a sudden, and that's where you got to be careful. If you go buy a big old fancy house and a big old fancy car and you post that crap on social media, you are going to have people coming out of the woodwork, family members that you never knew existed, long lost cousins and people that aren't related to you that say they are. You know, they got a 6-year-old daughter that's dying of heart disease and they got to have $250,000 to save her life, and they got to do it by Friday. So can you wire me the money? You know, you're going to have all kinds of craziness happen as we go through this transition, because the people that are completely clueless to this, they're not going to have the foggiest idea what's happening, right? They're going to get a check from the government. They're like, holy crap, the IRS screwed up, gave me money, I'm going to go spend it, right? And our job is to say, hey, no, don't spend it. Like, just hold it, right? Just, do what you got to do, but be mindful of it, right? So we're going to have to help guide those that are completely clueless. And I will tell you, the deeper I get into this thing, I mean, there are people, and I'm not talking about anybody on this call, right? Because I don't know who's on this call. I know some of the names, but I'm not talking about anybody on this call. But there are people in this movement, this truther movement, this RV movement, that still don't get it, right? They are actively right now putting, signing contracts and putting down payments on multi-million-dollar mansions, thinking that they were going to get their money on Tuesday. Well, guess what? They didn't get their money on Tuesday, and they ain't getting it tomorrow, and they're probably not getting it next Tuesday. And then now they're in default, and now their credit is shot, and they owe this person a bunch of money. You know what I mean? Like, there are people within this movement that are actively doing those things. Don't be that person. Be the person that is smart and intelligent and thought-provoking with their money. There's no reason in my mind to make any huge giant purchases within the first 30 to 60, specifically 90 days. Do what you got to do to take care of your family, take care of yourself, get you and yours situated and protected and shielded, because I do believe that there's going to be some massive chaos one way or the other when this thing pops, right? Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and then take care of those around you that you trust and that you know and you have a relationship with. But please, for the love of God, don't go buy a $2 million house. Don't go buy a $300,000 Lamborghini. Please don't do that. Don't go buy the $50,000 Rolex and go walking downtown, right? You're going to get robbed. You're probably going to get murdered. And then it's all for naught, right?
Yikes. Wow.
It's going to happen. Like, people do it all the time. They win the lottery. They buy a $50,000 Rolex and then walk through the hood. Well, guess what? Everybody in the hood knows how much that watch costs, because they all want one, right? So just for the love of God, be smart with your money, and don't rush into anything. Don't rush into it, because you're going to have investors and money managers calling you, right? There are kind of like you have like ambulance chasers, right? And they watch and they see, who was in a car wreck, and all of a sudden the next day you get like 30 calls from wreck attorneys and stuff. Like, the people do that with finances. when they see on social media or whatever that suddenly you've obviously come into some money, you're going to have people come out of the woodwork begging you for this and begging you for that. And now I've got this great opportunity. I've got this great investment. I'm not doing any of that. And I'm just being honest with you. You know, you could be my best friend on this platform. And if you call me in the first 30 days and say, hey, man, I know you got money. I want to get my project off the ground. I need $200,000. It ain't happening. not in that first 30 days. We might sit down and have a conversation, you know, and we might start talking, but I'm not giving anybody any money until I've had time to process the fact that my whole world just changed financially. And I hope that makes sense. I really do. And I hope that answers your question. I think you're on the right path. I would just be even more, not stingy, right? That's not what I mean, but just, man,
Just be smart with it. Just be smart with it is what he's trying to say.
you use your discernment and turn it up to 11.
Yeah. Okay, I have two more questions here for you, Dallas. Let's see. Tennessee Trash. Go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Hello. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late to getting to it, but I had a question. Have you heard that the agros have to be used for humanitarian, or are they separate from the ZIM?
No, they're totally separate. The agro checks
That's
are
what I
used to,
thought.
they're going to be used to purchase swaths of land in Africa to promote agricultural growth. So they're going to be paid out completely separate. They have nothing to do with the humanitarian stuff.
Thank you. You hearing everything but money jingling and meat frying in this last few months. Everybody's an expert, and you know I always listen to you and Mark, and I really appreciate everything y'all have done. I pray that you are able to make it to the end, and I pray that we will be vindicated with our wives when they think about how stupid we've been. And I told my wife, well, yeah, I might be stupid, but I wasn't wrong about the silver, was I? That's the only thing that shuts her up, and she walks off.
Amen.
Y'all have a blessed day, and thank you so much for everything you do. And just hang in there. It's going to be a good thing soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Tennessee Trash. Okay, Cajun Leatherneck. Go ahead. You can close us out. Go ahead. Go ahead, Cajun Leatherneck. Your mic is unmuted. People are nervous today. Go ahead, Cajun Leatherneck. One, going once, going twice. All right, everybody. Okay, Dallas, so can we see you in 2 weeks?
That's the plan, Stan.
Okay, guys. So it sounds like we can get Dallas back on his every 2 week schedule. If it doesn't work out on Wednesday, we'll figure out a day for him. But put him back on your schedule, guys, for Wednesdays, every other Wednesday. If the day changes, we'll let you know. But Dallas, great to hear from you, my friend. We've missed you. Love you. God bless you. God bless your doggy. I'll say some prayers for him, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right. God bless everybody. We'll see you later this evening over on my X Space with Silk from the Diamond and Silk Show. And then Josh Reed, everybody, he had to cancel this morning because he's traveling today. So we'll get that rescheduled. So watch for that new date. So thank you, Rumble. Thank you, Telegram. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.